What's my SatAttack squad? It's your boy SatAttack. When y'all see a title about check out what happens when you murder a brutal drug lord's son. Why? Why would you do that? Like, why? We're about to find out what happens, cause hey, they do not play with their families, bro. I would not want to get on any drug lord's bad side, bro. No. We all good, man. We call eat. You know what
Mexican
I'm
drug
saying? Like,
lords are often laid to rest in places much more luxurious than most people's homes. One of the most extravagant mausoleums in a grand cemetery called Jardines del Jumaya in the state of Sinaloa houses the remains of one of Mexico's most infamous, violent, and vengeful drug lords, Manuel Fidel Torres Felix. This building costs about $340,000 and is decorated with Greco-Roman style columns, complete with an alarm system, 24-hour air conditioning.
Damn, bro got AC. I don't even got AC in my house, bro. What the fuck? That's crazy. I literally got a freaking window fan. I don't even got an AC in this shit. Hot as hell in here. I'm literally dying here, and that dude's dead already, and he's got AC. Like, damn.
And a fully equipped kitchen. How does someone rise to such infamy and wealth? This is the story of his climb to become one of the famous legends of Mexican cartels. How does a simple man from a small village become one of the most feared and deadly hitmen in the underground world of drug trafficking? What happened to him to cause the complete and utter unraveling of his sanity? How did he meet his eventual demise? Manuel Fidel Torres Felix was born in a tiny town of about 8,000 people called Cosala in Sinaloa. By the time he was in his 30s, he had begun working for the notorious Sinaloa cartel, also known as the Blood Alliance, due to the fact that most of the cartel's members are related through blood or marriage. The Sinaloa cartel is the strongest and most prominent drug cartel in the world. What began as a coalition of agricultural families became the #1 drug trafficking operation, starting in the 1960s with marijuana, and then branching out into cocaine, and eventually heroin and meth when they saw a rise in its demand. One of the reasons for the cartel's great success is that it does not function as a traditional hierarchy, but instead as separate groups that protect one another. This way, even though one of its most well-known leaders, Joaquin Guzman, known as El Chapo, was arrested and extradited to the U.S., the cartel is still flourishing.
Guzman has been indicted by grand juries in 6 states, and the U.S. aggressively...
I don't even pay attention, but like, this dude broke in like a couple of prisons, right? Like, this
urged the Mexican government to send him here to face charges in an American courtroom.
He's locked up right now, right? I kind of want him to get free, huh? just allow, of course, just for the fucking entertainment.
To face charges in an American courtrum.
Torres' older brother, Javier Torres
Felix. It's crazy how he did it, because I remember watching a video of how he did it, bro. Like he literally did prison break, where I think they had like a hole behind the toilet or some shit where they use the bathroom and shit. Hey, creative as hell. Oh wait, I forgot what it was. I remember it led to some, I don't know, bro. I'm tweaking.
To face charges in an American courtroom.
Like that, Torres' older brother, Javier Torres Felix, was already well established in the Sinaloa cartel. Torres' older brother, Javier Torres Felix, was already well established in the Sinaloa cartel by the time Manuel got involved. Javier was a protege of Juan Manuel Salcido Uteza, known as El Cochiloco, meaning crazy pig.
Cochiloco, una persona, pues...
So his older brother was a protege?
Got involved. Javier was a protege of Juan Manuel Salcido Uteza, known as El Cochiloco, meaning crazy pig.
Cochiloco, una persona, pues, que ganó mucho dinero, que tuvo muchas propiedades allá en Sinaloa, acá en Guadalajara también, hoteles.
Salcido lived a double life as a generous and friendly rancher in Coquimatalan in the state of Colima, even befriending the state's governor, Elias Zamora Verduzco, when El Cochiloco was killed in 1991 after he stole 8 tons of cocaine from Colombian drug traffickers. His identity was revealed to the shocked people who had grown to admire the man, who did things like provide uniforms for local kids' sports teams and help get roads paved. Zamora.
Hey, he used the money in a good way, I guess. He used the money in a good way. Who cares how he got it? He's using it the right way.
The governor said he did not feel bad about his friendship with the man he discovered was one of the leaders of the Sinaloa cartel. After Salcido's death.
Imagine being bro, imagine your boy being like in a cartel.
Ship with the man he discovered was one of the leaders of the Sinaloa cartel. After Salcedo's death, Manuel's older brother Javier Torres Felix, or JT, began working under Ismael El Mayo Zambada, one of the cartel's most violent and powerful leaders. Who up after Salcedo's death, Manuel's older brother Javier Torres Felix, or JT, began working under
slow it down. I'm a little dumb, but alright, slow down.
Ismael El Mayo Zambada, one of the cartel's most violent and powerful leaders, who up until this day remains the only member of Mexico's list of most wanted drug lords to elude arrest.
Damn, 15 wait. I thought I was about to say 15 billion. That dot played me, but 15 million? Let me go find this dude right now. No, I'm just playing, bro. That dude watching the video about to give me.
It's not the case for Javier Torres Felix, who was arrested and released multiple times. In 2001, after another prison stint of Javier's, a hit on the brothers Javier and Manuel Torres Felix was attempted, supposedly by Ramon Arellano Felix, a leader in the Tijuana cartel. However, the gunmen were unsuccessful, so instead they took out their violence on the townspeople of the brothers' birthplace of Cosala, killing 12 people. During a traffic stop by police officer Angel Antonio Arias Torres, Ramon Arellano Felix was killed by a single gunshot to the head after firing at Arias Torres, who died immediately after shooting Arellano. Rumor had it that El Chapo himself had ordered Arias Torres to make the traffic stop in order to kill Arellano. Eventually, after the 2004 arrest of Javier Torres Felix and his later extradition to the U.S., the younger brother Manuel Fidel Torres Felix replaced Javier as El Mayo's right-hand man, working alongside Ovidio Guzman, the son of El Chapo. Soon, he was responsible for moving drugs from South America to the U.S. First nicknamed ML1, Torres was renowned for his cold-bloodedness and violent tendencies. ML1, Torres was renowned for his cold-bloodedness and violent tendencies. The Mexican drug cartels are no strangers to murder, torture, and physical beatings in order to keep their various trafficking operations, which can branch out from drugs into other things like guns and even sometimes human beings. But Torres was especially sinister, sometimes to the point of pure sadistic cruelty. One of the people Torres worked closely with was Alfredo Beltran Leyva, or El Mochomo, which means desert ant. Beltran was one of the 5 brothers, including himself, Arturo, Alberto, Carlos, and Hector Beltran Leyva. When Alfredo was arrested in 2008, his brothers blamed El Chapo and decided to break away from the Sinaloa cartel to create their own organization, which became known as the Beltran Leyva Cartel. Arturo Beltran Leyva, known as El Barbas, in particular, had a vendetta against the Sinaloa cartel. This began a rivalry that would erupt again and again in bloody violence and death. What happened after this between the Sinaloa cartel and the Beltran Leyva cartel is what would eventually earn Manuel with the nickname El Ondeado, which means something like the Twisted One, although it's more often translated as the Crazy One.
When he is mentioned, the new members of the Caldero de Sinaloa showed their kind of admiration towards the criminal.
Why Buddy changed his voice?
The new members of the Caldero de Sinaloa showed their kind of admiration towards the criminal recognized as one of the fiercest adversaries of the Beltran Leyva brothers.
Because the Torres Felix brothers had worked so closely with El Chapo, the Beltran Leyva cartel naturally thought of them as prime targets for their vengeance. One of the first attacks on Manuel Torres Felix's family happened when his nephew Joel Torres Jimenez, the son of his older brother Javier, was assaulted at a billiards hall. Joel Torres would go on to narrowly escape death 3 times, but much worse than that was the attack that resulted on the murder of El Ondeado's son, Anastasio Torres Acosta, El Taquio, and the shooting injury
bro, god damn.
of his sister-in-law, Sandra Rivas Heredia, and his 4-year-old daughter, and the shooting injury of his sister-in-law, Sandra Rivas Heredia, and his 4-year-old daughter, Alondra, whose arm had been amputated after the shooting. It was April 18th, 2008, and Anastasio was out for drive in a Montalbano neighborhood of Culiacan with Sandra and Alondra when his car was ambushed by an armed convoy of members of the Beltran Leyva cartel. In the exchange of gunfire that followed, Anastasio was fatally injured, and Sandra and Alondra both hit. A note left at the scene of the shooting attack said, "On behalf of your friend Arturo and his nephews, Los Zetas," so you can understand, Manuel Torres. It was supposedly written on behalf of Arturo Beltran Leyva, El Barbas. The grief and rage that followed.
I'm laughing about how crazy motherfuckers is in this world.
Manuel Torres.
How crazy, like, bro, I'm just chilling here thinking about what I'm gonna do tomorrow. These boys think about what the hell, how we gonna get back, how we gonna kill this person tomorrow, how we gonna do this tomorrow. Like, Bro, they be crazy, bro. They be living on edge 24/7.
Felix is said to have driven him mad, and he no longer cared who he hurt or killed in his quest for revenge. Rumor had it that as he mourned his son, he put a hit out on anyone and everyone who may have been connected to the Beltran-Leyva cartel and may have had anything to do with the death of his son and the grave injury of his daughter.
El M1 went into a mix of rage and painful grief over losing his son Tachio. It was that day when he found out about his son's death that he lost his mind.
A few months after the attack, two men were discovered at
everyone would lose their mind, especially like if someone kill you.
the same spot, one inside a barrel with his head removed. Months after the attack, two men were discovered at the same spot, one inside a barrel with his head removed, and the other wrapped in a canvas with his thumb removed and an orange bow tied to his body. These orange bows were found on many other corpses found around the same time. There was a note attached to the man in the barrel claiming that the two were hitmen of Arturo Beltran-Leyva's, who were killed in order to teach respect for my children. 5 more corpses were found at the same location that very week.
Get their asses! You killed your son, my boy. Get their asses.
Most of the bodies had notes attached that seemed clearly to be for Manuel Torres Felix.
Oh, Manuel.
And on July 4th, 2000.
Team Manuel. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm not Team Manuel. I'm in the middle. Whatever did.
A call was made to local police to report the discovery of a mysterious red sedan parked on the roadside. Inside the open trunk were several bodies, mutilated, decapitated, stuffed into plastic bags. One of the bodies was that of former commander of the state police unit, whose entire body had been torn apart. His limbs in one bag, head in another, and torso in another. Another one was placed next to the body of a snake. Reportedly, El Oneado had tortured any man connected to his son's death in their own home. A note was left that said, "For you to keep in mind, Arturo Beltran-Leyva, from El Oneado. If you're such a man, let's meet man to man. This goes to you, or your dog-eating, child-killing, police-killing chatos. You better shoot yourself. Stop doing these infamous acts. All of you together are too little for me alone."
Oh, shit. Hey, that boy gangster. That boy said, I'll do more. Hey, y'all cannot stop what's coming. Man to man. Hey, let's meet man. This goes to you. Or the dog. Stop doing it. All you together are too little for me. That last line is, all of you together are too little for me alone, bro. Hey, you say he's coming, bro. Pause.
Some people say that over 200 deaths occurred in the weeks following El Tacho's slaying. Later that year, in September, the army raided a ranch used by narcos and seized guns and ammunition. They also found a photo of ML1 and his nephew, Liceo Torres Urea, known as M2. This photo basically went viral and appears in many stories, videos, and music videos about Torres. El Oneado's deathly feud with Arturo Beltran-Leyva was cut short with the death of Beltran. On December 11, 2009, Mexican authorities invaded Beltran's home in the middle of a lavish Christmas party, where even a Grammy-winning Latino musician was a guest. 3 gunmen were killed, but Beltran escaped. However, 5 days later, on December 16th, the same day that the heads of 6 police investigators were found impaled on a display in Durango, Beltran was located in a luxury hideout south of Mexico City. Over 200 officials invaded to capture him. In the ensuing gun battle, Beltran was fatally shot and killed. 3 other members of the Beltran cartel were killed, and another man jumped to his death in an apparent suicide.
Damn.
During that battle, a Marine named Mels Cadet Anglo Cordova was killed. Afterwards, he was awarded the highest military awards possible at a well-publicized and glorious funeral. But merely hours later, almost his entire family, his mother, sister, brother, and aunt, was slaughtered in an act of revenge. Anglo Cordova was killed. Apparent suicide. During that battle, a Marine named Mels Cadet Anglo Cordova was killed. Afterwards, he was awarded the highest military awards possible at a well-publicized and glorious funeral. But merely hours later, almost his entire family, his mother, sister, brother, and aunt, was slaughtered in an act of revenge. El Oneado finally met his end in a showdown with the Mexican government on October 13, 2012. After his death, the Mexican government claimed that they had dealt a damaging blow to the Sinaloa cartel. Although due to the non-hierarchical nature of the cartel, the effects of his death were hard to measure. It did show that the government was willing to go after the cartel's members, though, which may have struck fear in some of them. In the days following his death, flags and signs known as narconatos, or narco banners, started appearing around the town of Culiacan, placing blame upon El Mayo himself and claiming he had set up his own lieutenant to be killed. Rondeado is so famous, and in fact honored and respected in some ways, perhaps for his relentlessness in avenging the death of his son, that he is the subject of many narcos corridos, songs that tell the stories of various drug traffickers and their exploits. In these controversial songs, narcos are often elevated to an almost heroic status, as Robin Hood-like figures opposing the government. One such song, which celebrates M1's love for Hummers and AK-47s, contains the following lyrics. These days, El Mayo still holds a high position, although his health is reportedly declining. What will happen next to the Sinaloa cartel remains to be seen.
Brutal lives of El Chapo scary as hell, man.
But it's indisputable that the violent reign of terror of Manuel Torres Felix is...
Yeah. That's gonna do it for that. If you enjoyed that, subscribe on that road 2K John fan. What's super gonna done, but hey. Oh shit, not locked down. Don't lock this shit down. No. We gotta have to use that shit for college, bro. I just didn't click that time and time, but we out.